Okay, thank you, everybody. I would like to talk about the culture of living, specifically to the city of Yogyakarta. First of all, I'm trying to define what is called culture as the basis of my understanding of culture. Next, Pak Ika. A culture is that complex entirety which incorporate knowledge, beliefs, arts, morals, custom, and any other capabilities and habits obtained by human as part of society. And culture is determine how we see the world around us, incorporate the convention we acquire, and pass on to the next generation. So culture of living here is refers to beliefs, values, behavior that shapes the way of life. Okay, next. Next, I would like to talk about an overview of Yogyakarta. These pictures talk about the Indonesian ethnic groups. So many ethnic groups in Indonesia. You can see here that there are around 1,300 ethnic groups in Indonesia. And the largest ethnic group in Indonesia is the Javanese, around 40%. Then the majority of ethnic population in Yogyakarta province is Javanese. It's about 99% from 3,800,000 people. Commonly, Javanese character in social life can be identified. The first is Javanese people act according to the degree of each social class and always respect each other's position and be respectful of personal matters. And also they avoid harsh words or rude attitudes to other people. And Javanese people also have express something indirectly through something like illusion or something like that. And Javanese people commonly participate actively in giving added or positive value to any object, problem, or people need in society. It was mentioned by Dr. Nares before as gotong royong or collaboration. Okay. The city of Yogyakarta is well known for many titles, such as the city of culture, the city of art, the city of education, and the city for tourism. First, I would like to present why does Yogyakarta have the title as a city of culture? It's because Yogyakarta has strong culture and tradition that passed down from Javanese ancestors and still kept and preserved today. Next. Yeah. In the above pictures, there are traditional music from Jogja. The Javanese gamelan, you can see there is a musical ensemble that usually features several traditional Javanese musical instruments that are usually played together. Usually used to accompany Javanese songs, dance, Seido puppet show, or played in some Javanese traditional ceremonies. And the next picture is the Gejok Lesung develop, Pak Ika. Yeah. This one is Gejok Lesung with several women in there. Different from gamelan, this is traditional music in the form of playing percussion instrument using traditional what is called rice pounding atau rice pounding tools, which exists in a farmer community in rural area. Usually played in some Javanese traditional ceremonies related to farmer community. In the below pictures, there are Javanese dance that is a form of dance and art that is created and influenced by Javanese culture. Javanese dance is usually related to Javanese culture. However, in a broader sense, Javanese dance also includes dance of the common people, usually performed in some Javanese traditional ceremonies and accompanied by Javanese gamelan. Next. Yeah, this one is another kind of culture in Yogyakarta. Wayang kulit or shadow puppet show is made from cowhide, which has been processed into sheet skin. Wayang kulit is played by dalang, a person who called dalang, who is also the narrator of the dialogue of the puppet characters. It also accompanied by gamelan music. The dalang plays a shadow puppet behind the screen, which is a screen made of white cloth, while behind it an oil lamp is lit so that viewers on the other side of the screen can see the shadow of the puppet falling onto the screen. And below pictures that are Ketoprak Mataram is a kind of traditional drama performance art that uses also Javanese gamelan accompaniment. One of the character of this performing art is the use of kentongan that hit by the what is say director at every scene change. The Ketoprak story can come from anything, both fiction as well as historic stories, which can come from within the country or abroad. Next. This one is cultural carnival to commemorate anniversary of the Yogyakarta Palace, I think. Passes through Malioboro Street in Yogyakarta. Next. Okay, the second part is why does Yogyakarta have the title as City of Art? Yogyakarta has many unique and contemporary artists and artworks that continue to live and develop until today. Okay. Next. Yeah, batik is well known as a craft that has high artistic value and has been a part of Indonesian culture for a long time. Javanese women in the past used their skills in batik as a livelihood, so that in the past batik work was an exclusive job for women until the discovery of batik cap, which allowed the entry of men into this field. And beside is Kota Gede silver, is a hereditary culture, which was originally in the form of various gold, silver, copper handicraft, but in the end, it was the silver craft that developed or flourished. Okay, next. This one is some pictures of contemporary art event on Malioboro Street some years ago, have strengthened the character of Yogyakarta as an art city. Next. This one is another event took place on the whole city of Yogyakarta. I forget the event name, but it should be a festival of art. Next. Yeah, this is Yogyakarta world-class art exhibition, and regularly happen in Yogyakarta. That it has world-class art exhibition. We called it Artjog. Artjog, like a festival yearly in Yogyakarta. Okay, that's another part of Artjog, Yogyakarta Festival of Art. Okay, next. Why does Yogyakarta have the title as a city of education? May it because there are many schools and universities that has high quality of education and have been well accredited in the world of Indonesian education. Next. We can see here that this one is the map of Yogyakarta province, Yogyakarta special province, and Yogyakarta is the city of Yogyakarta is the red one. We can see here that there are around 120 colleges and universities with around 320,000 students. 90,000 of them, or about 30%, are students from outside the region of Yogyakarta, and many facilities in the city cater to student needs. Next. Yeah, this is one picture from the past describe how our university UGM works together with many parties in improving the quality of education. This one is Won Kulturen, Pak Nariman, in
2005 actually.
Yeah, 2005 or 6? 5, yeah.
And 5 after tsunami.
Okay. And we can see here Pak Ika Putra, Pak Yang Ika Putra. Okay. Okay, next. It proves that Yogyakarta has a title of City of Education. This one is another event in our universities, in our department, about the International Bamboo Workshop. Okay, next. And then the last one is why does Yogyakarta have the title as a city of tourist destination? The number of objects and tourist attraction in Yogyakarta has absorbed tourist visit until today, both foreign and domestic tourists, because it has strong cultural, historical, and natural attraction for tourism. Next. This one is Palace. The picture in the above. Palace and the surrounding area, and Taman Sari is a kind of object for tourism, the famous one for cultural and historical object for tourism, tourist destination. And below picture, you can see here that Prambanan Temple is also one of famous World Heritage tourism, and several centers of batik craftsmen also become attractive tourist destination in Yogyakarta. Next. These are natural attraction in Yogyakarta, including Mount Merapi, and you can see also Grojogan Watu Purba in the front of Merapi in the picture, and then Mangunan Pine Forest and Gunung Kidul Beach. Next. This picture is show the Malioboro area, which was the main tourist destination for the city of Yogyakarta. You can see here that during the pandemic, Malioboro was still not empty of visitors. Next. Now, I would like to talk about the daily living, the way of life that shaped the culture of living of people who live in Yogyakarta. First of all, about the livingscape. Oh, the picture doesn't show here. First of all, about the livingscape. Most of Yogyakarta residents live in the kampung area, as Bu Nares said before. Some prefer to live in modern housing also. Kampung is a traditional Indonesia environment, response to the characteristic of life that are intertwined with close kinship ties kampung, which is a unique form of settlement. Kampung cannot be equated with slum and squatter, or also equated with middle-low income residents. It can be seen here that the kampung density is usually quite high, with a narrow street or alley spaces with simple and varied building form. Next. In kampung, the boundary between land ownership are not very clear. Open space can be used for various functions as needed by the people. Next, yeah. This is an illustration of modern housing, which has become a choice of living as also, especially for the upper middle class. Flat houses commonly found in kampung areas or on the riverbank as a solution to urban land limitation and also for healthier living environment. Next. About the foodscape. About the foodscape in daily living, a place where people eat every day, apart from cooking their own meals at home. Angkringan is the first foodscape here. Angkringan is a wheelbarrow for selling various kinds of food and drinks on the side of the street. to be eaten at the same place. And the food sold commonly a very small portion of rice. We call it sego kucing or cat rice, if we translate in English. Fried food and others. There are also various kinds of drink, such as tea, coffee, or ginger, something like that. Next. The second form for foodscape is warung lesehan. It's a culture in terms of trading food or something while sitting on a floor or a mat. On a mat, food or goods that are traded are also held during the lesehan, so that visitors can see and choose them casually. The lesehan culture is very well known in Indonesia. Is in the Yogyakarta area, and this has become one of the main attractions for tourists. The location of the lesehan stall is on the side, usually, of the street, using the pedestrian pathway. Next. The other kind of foodscape, the restaurant and cafe are modern and all of them are modern dining place, although what is sold can be traditional food. Next. Next is a shopping scape, a place where people shop for their daily needs. Warung, we call it warung or kiosk, is a very small shop that is generally easily accessible to the public locally, usually a part of a house as a form of development of house as a small-scale business. Warung often found in densely populated urban location, specifically in kampung, still traditional and conventional, where buyers cannot pick up their own goods because store shelves are not yet modern and become a barrier between sellers and buyers. Next. Traditional market as another kind of shopping scape. Traditional market are places characterized by direct seller-buyer transaction and usually a bargaining process. Most of them sell daily necessities such as groceries. You can see in the pictures. Next. This is the modern one, a convenience store. Convenience shop or corner store is a small retail business that stocks a range of everyday items. Shopping center is a place that commonly contain one or several department stores as an attraction for small retail shops and dining places. Next. Next, the moving scape. We talk about the way people choose to travel every day. Here is the mode used for everyday traveling. Becak or rickshaw is a three-wheeled human-powered mode of transport commonly found in Indonesia and also in parts of Asia. And then andong is a traditional four-wheeled transportation vehicle that does not use a machine, but instead uses a horse as a power. Both becak and andong currently in many have a role in as a many tourist attraction. Next. Motorbikes are very popular in Yogyakarta. Many trips, both near and far, use motorbike for people in Yogyakarta. Trans Jogja is a public transport. It's a bus rapid transit system operate in Yogyakarta and surrounding areas. Another alternative to travel is by taxi. For commuter mobility, it is currently served by electric rail train. Next. Next is about social scape. The way people interact with the environment. Security guard, night guard, as Dr. Nares mentioned before, is one of the preferred places for interaction on between people, day or night. It can be used for guarding or for social activities by night or by day. Okay, next. There are also many street spaces in the kampung used for interaction between neighbors. This place is the close space to the home, so this one is the favorite place for interaction. Next. Open space in kampung, including street space, are also widely used for various activities or multifunction that encourage interaction between people on several activities, community activities. Next. Social interaction in Yogyakarta is also commonly found in urban public space, especially for young people. Okay, next. Yeah, besides activities in daily living, Jogja people also have activities related to tradition and culture. I present some example of activity during event of culture in Yogyakarta. This one is Kampung Kauman. They have Pasar Sore Ramadan. The month of Ramadan is the holy month in Muslim religion, which every Muslim are required to fast. Kauman Ramadan market here is one of the famous takjil food centers. Takjil is a food for break the fast. Sell food to break the fast, this market. In the month of Ramadan, the street space in Kauman are turned into places for selling takjil by almost all people living in there. So it can be things from the kampung originally situation, and in the Ramadan, it changed into the market of food. Next. This is another example about the big market, the oldest market of Yogyakarta in Kota Gede. Originally, the Javanese have a calculation of the day called, we called it Pasaran. There are 5 days in the Javanese calendar. the calculation of days based on the Javanese calendar that is used as a guideline for market activity in Javanese people culture. This is the Pasar Legi in Kota Gede, where market activity increase on every Legi day. Next. Yeah, right now I will show some slide borrowed from Pak Ika that which provide a brief illustration of the culture of living in Kampung Yogyakarta. Actually, it has mentioned more on Dr. Nari's presentation, but I will show some of them in the different view. Okay, next. Yeah, Kampung living space. We see here that Kampung living space always related to high density settlement and narrow open space. It can be seen that the Kampung people have to be struggle with living with urban limited resources in their settlement. Next. Yeah, this picture, you can see that narrow space, narrow alley with multifunction. Sometimes it could be placed for drying the laundry. Sometimes it could be placed for moving, something like this. Okay, next. This is another picture of small street alley on Kampung. You can see here that density makes almost no open space in the Kampung, except street as a linkage from one spot to another place to in the Kampung. Okay, next. Yeah, this one is the clear character of Kampung, narrow alley and limited open space. Okay, next. Yeah, the same as another Kampung. Still, you can see here that with the limited space, with limited open space, people try to make their limited resources as a place for living in there. Next. Yeah, Kampung living culture, another illustration here. We can see, yeah, people still happy with the culture of togetherness or the rural habit, rural origin, but with the urban limited resource to live. You can see here that with the limited space, people still can work. They use the space in their house for working and producing something. Yeah, this one is an illustration of the utilizing of open space for women cheating. This one is an example of people of here is you can see people make a family gathering in the part of the street. It's usually or commonly happen in Kampung. Yeah, this one children doesn't have space for playing, but they still happy. They can use space, another space or any kind of space in the Kampung as a place for playing. Next. Yeah, this is an example of people playing table tennis in the street, Kampung Street. Okay, next. Yeah, in some cases, people use the public street here as a private, for private storage or something like this. So they put their private, their own goods in the space of the public street. Next. Yeah, this is the example of how the people, kampung people, use the space, the narrow space, still can use it for selling something. Here is selling food. Okay, for commercial space. Next. Okay, with limited space, kampung people still can utilizing space for urban farming with the limited space they have. Next. This is kind of another greenery by kampung people. Next. Yeah. This one, another kind of example for vertical urban farming with use the bottle of mineral water to plant the flower or something like that. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, just a little observation about the concept of the palimpsest. If you know the concept of the word palimpsest, is the stratification of many landscape. And in the presentation, we see many different landscape. The landscape of mobility, the landscape of culture, the landscape of public space, and I have understand how is complex this situation. Usually in the European environment, the layer of the city are more durable, are more solid, and is more easy to recognize. No, but in this way, we work with a different and more ephemeral vision, and more ephemeral and more temporary landscape. Other little observation is about the concept of to take care of a space. Many images show people that leave the space, and more space, public space, are beautiful, are clean, are usable. Not so easy to read in the European city. In the European city, the public space is a space to move. Okay. In this context, the public space is a space to stay, to living. And I think it's a very, very different change of paradigm. Not so different about the change of vision that Simone discussed before, to start from the street to build the city, not to start to the building for design the city. Is this a little think about this presentation?
I have a really simple question. It's about how long is the medium life of the housing in that kind of way of life, that kind of culture of living. How time during an house there is a recycle system of rebuild, destroyed and rebuild, and because it's interesting for us to understand how we can approach the materials and how we can approach this idea of recycle the elements of the city. And I think it's interesting understand the medium life of a building, of a residential building. I don't know if it's easy to answer. If there is an idea of how long during an house in a kind of city about the campus.
In my opinion, when what is called, when the people feel that or know that the house is what is it have in a degradation condition, they will make an effort to repair it, to improve it, to be more what is it, has a good condition, something like this. So this is not what is called how long it will be bertahan.
They never rebuild, they repair.
Yeah, they repair.
You repair, and
Yeah.
the life of the house is infinity, because you always living in the same system, and sometimes you attach something, change a little bit, reinforce. You usually manage the space and the skin of your house, and the shape, but it was always the same, but not the same, because you change it, but you don't rebuild starting from tabula rasa, starting from zero.
Yeah, I think in Japanese people, sometimes people get a house, or they have house from their ancestors, or their parents, or something like this, or their grandfather, something like this. So this condition is always improved from time to time to make it still exists in the kampung life, something like this.
It's so quickly the changement in the camping life. If we visit, I don't know if we visit now, and if we go in the future about 2 years over, it's totally changing, because I understand it's so quickly in the process of manage and renovate. It's not a blocked city about our European city, because if you visit, for example, an Italian city, and if you watch a photo now,
Hello?
Simone, we cannot hear you. Ricardo, can you hear Simone?
No, I don't hear Simone.
of a moving city, yeah. This is an opportunity for the architects.
The connection is not good, Simo.
Sorry.
In my opinion, the process of the repairment or the reconstruction or something like this is depend on the financial condition, something like this. If they have money, they can directly make what is it, repairment or reconstruction, something like this. But sometimes they have to save money to wait until they have enough to rebuild to repairment, something like this.
Okay, I understand, but I think this kind of limits, the money limits, create an organic city, because if you rebuild quickly, you don't have the same quality of the public space, of this kind of really fluid condition of the space, because in the photo then we watch during your presentation, it's really clear and really beautiful, this idea of a fluid space, really organic, really free, without so strong elements, without so regular system of public space. And I think this is a result of that kind of repair approach to the space.
Okay.